All right, so we need to talk a little bit about the way that we're going to approach doing the inspiration galleries this time. So it's going to be a little bit different. So in the past, what I had you do was, pick a topic, go and search that topic. This time it's going to be a little more specific. So as you come over here and you look at the website, I've given you links to 4 different places: Reuters, National Geographic, CNN, 25 Photos of the Week, and the This Is Colossal website. So what I want you to do is to go to one of those places, and you're going to look for images that are utilizing rule of thirds. So be very similar to what we've done before, except I'm giving you websites specifically to go to, and we're looking at really good quality images that have been created in the last, in most cases, the last few weeks, because a lot of them are news agencies, and we're looking for the application of this technique in the photos. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up one of these. Let's just look at National Geographic, say, for instance. And so when you get to the section of photo of the day, it's going to have a gallery in the middle, which is going to have images. And so as I start scrolling through, there's no forward button because this is the most recent photo. But if I start navigating towards the right, I can start to look through here. And I'm looking for an image where the main subject is somewhere not in the center of the frame. So, this one is slightly off center, although I don't love it. But maybe something like this. So once I find an image that I think is utilizing the rule of thirds, then what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and go through my normal protocol, right? I'm going to download the photo. I'm going to grab the web link, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and save this image as. And I've gone ahead and created a folder on my desktop that's called Inspiration Galleries. And I'm going to make a new folder in here that's Rule of Thirds. And then that way I can just put all my Rule of Thirds stuff inside of there. So I'll go ahead and save. So I've got that photo. So then I'm going to go ahead and go inside of Weebly and open up my Weebly page and create a new gallery for this part of the assignment. So I should have already created a page on my website, and I should have already put up the vocab and answered the questions, but now I'm ready to work on the inspiration gallery. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put a gallery right below here. So I'm just going to grab this and drag on over and place it below my little grid over here. All right, so because I've already downloaded the photo, I can just go ahead and click in here and I can add my photo. I'm going to go desktop, inspiration gallery, and rule of thirds, and there's my photo. Now, again, I want to put a web link, so I'm going to come back, and I should have just grabbed this earlier, so if I had already copied the web link, I wouldn't have to go back. And then on here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the photo a second time, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in as the caption. Done. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in with a link, website URL, and link. So that way I've taken care of that part. Now that part we've already done lots of times. So for sake of time, what I would suggest doing is go find the 10 images, collect all of them, and go ahead and put them into the gallery and do the web links. But then I want you to go back, and what we're going to do is go inside of Photoshop for the first time, and we're going to overlay a grid on top of these. What that will do is it'll allow you to kind of check for understanding. I want to see, I saw this picture and I thought that it was an application of the rule of thirds, and now I want to check and see how good was my guess as far as identifying the rule of thirds. So what we're going to do is up here on the website, I've given you guys this grid, so go ahead and download that as well. So I'm going to right click and say save image as, and then I'm going to put it into the inspiration gallery for rule of thirds, and I'm going to say save, and so I'll have that. So once I've collected all 10 of my images and I've downloaded the grid, I'm going to open those up inside of Photoshop. So if I go inside of here, if I go to my desktop and I go inside inspiration gallery and I go inside rule of thirds, then here's my 2 files, right? So I could try just selecting both of those and right clicking, and I should be able to from here choose open with, and I'm just going to choose Photoshop. So now I'm here inside of Photoshop, and it's opened up both of my files. So I've got my first file here, which is the grid, and then I've also got the file here, which is the one that I downloaded from National Geographic. And basically what we want to do is we want to superimpose this grid over top of the image of, of our example of rule of thirds. So the way that we're going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and I want all of this file. So anytime I want all of anything, I can do this inside of Lightroom when I'm trying to select all my pictures to import or export. I'm going to do Command A on the keyboard to select all. And that gives me the little marching ants around here, this outside edge. So now that I've got all of it selected, I'm going to copy, Command C on the keyboard. And I'm no longer going to need this one, so I could close it at this point, which would be Command W. Or I can just simply navigate over to here and go to my second file. So now that we're on our second file that we want to put the grid on top of, we're going to paste, which is Command V to paste. But most of the time it's going to come in either too big or too small. It's never really going to match perfectly. So in all cases, the next step we're going to need to do is to transform. So we're going to do Command and T for transform. Now that'll give me these kind of marquee boxes around the outside of my grid. Most of the time, I would like you to use the Shift key, which is going to keep the whatever we're transforming proportional. But in this case, because what we're trying to do is actually match the exact dimensions of our photo, because the grid is set up to be 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, what we want to do is actually just fill the frame. So I'm just going to drag this straight out from the corners. I'm going to drag this all the way up to this top left corner, and I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to drag it all the way to the bottom right. Then once I have that, I need to say that I'm done. So I can either double click here on the inside, or I can hit the check mark there. Just be careful that you don't try double clicking right on this center point. Everybody always tries to go right in the middle, and it won't work. So just anywhere inside of here, just double click, and then it goes away. So now I've got these two layers over here. This is our layers palette. So I've got layer 1, which is my grid, and layer 2, the background layer, which is the original photo. So I can see if I turn this on and off using this eyeball, it's going to go ahead and show and hide that layer. But what I want to be able to do is kind of see through it. So Photoshop's got this great thing. It's called the blending mode. So if we look up here right above our layers palette, it says opacity and then it says normal just to the left of it. So if I click there on normal, there's all sorts of ways that those two layers, if you think of them as two photos stacked on top of each other, there's ways that we can make them interact with each other. And so what we want to do is basically get rid of the white. So what we're going to do is let's try something like screen usually works pretty well. Linear dodge sometimes will work. So if I click here and I go screen, it's not working in this case. So let's see here. Sometimes we can try things like overlay, or we could try soft light, or we could try, linear light. So we're gonna, each of these blending modes are going to do different things. Multiply. So they're all going to do different types of interactions between, those two layers. And so depending on what values are inside of your photo, there's going to be different ones that are going to work. If it's a really dark photo, then sometimes you have to use things like screen. But so it seems like multiply is working pretty well. If I turn that on and off, I'm not going to have a huge shift in color or value. It's just applying that grid on top of it. So I'm happy with that. That's all that I needed to do. I just wanted to see how close is my subject to that actual line, and you can see the line of that other 1/3 is going right down the middle of the subject. The intersection is really more around his knees, not his face, but as far as the alignment of him being out of the center of the frame, we're definitely in rule of thirds. Now, if my example wasn't exactly right, that's okay. What I want you to do is you're still going to post it. The idea of the assignment is to look at this and see, I thought that was rule of thirds, that's why I grabbed it, and then I put the grid on it, and how close was I to that? So there might be a chance that, I was pretty far off. I might have picked a bunch of pictures where the subject's dead center. Well, this will help train our eye so that when we go out and actually do the shooting, we better understand where is the subject supposed to be to get them into the rule of thirds. And so by doing this and looking at what I thought was rule of thirds and how close was it to actually being at one of those intersections, I'm hoping that when you go out and shoot, you'll better be able to visualize where that spot is. Because there's 4 quadrants, 4 places where we really want to place the subject. And you're going to have to be visualizing. You're going to be looking, through the camera and trying to figure out, well, where are those imaginary lines, those intersections of where do I want to place the subject. So once I have this and I've got the grid on there, that's perfect. All I want to do now is save it so that I can upload it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a save as. And by default, it's going to be a Photoshop document because it has the 2 layers. So we're going to have to click here where it says Photoshop, and we're going to change that to JPEG. And then it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to label it in case it has the same name. Mine came in as download, so I don't want to just replace the other one. So I'm just going to put, rule of thirds 1 or something like that, just so that I know that it's different, and then I can just go ahead and save. And I'm going to keep the quality high and okay. So once that's been done, then come back inside of Weebly, and I want you to go ahead and actually upload this photo. So in our gallery, you'll have all 10 already there. I only have 1 because I'm trying to be quick here. And then the next step will be to actually upload from my file, and then grab the one that I just did, rule of thirds 1, open. So when you're all done in the gallery, there's no need to relink this one. That's okay because we already have the link here. But I should have the original picture and then the one where I applied the rule of thirds grid, okay? And so you'll just do that for each of the 10 photos that you find. Once you've got the grid copied and you're going through, if you're just opening up all 10 at the end, it should be a really fast process. Just paste, transform, change the blending mode, save it as a JPEG, and then I would just do all 10 of those really quickly and then just upload them and put them in the right spot. So that's the basic idea. It should really help you be more familiar with where is those spots, how is that going to look inside of my camera, so that when we go out to go and do the shooting assignment, that we're going to be a little more comfortable with placing the subject. All right, I hope that helps, and good luck on your assignment.